So we have drama once again between American Twitter and Japanese Twitter over some anime art. And before I get into this, I want to say please don't send hate to anybody involved. The artist that made the piece is 16, so they are young. And again, I don't want this to be a situation where hate is sent to them, so I will keep them anonymous in the video. So this was a post about the situation because the original post is no longer visible, and this was tweeted by CL, who goes by the Twitter handle Lin Anime, but instead of with an A, it's a Q. And it reads, "She got jumped so hard, she had to go private." And it features this art piece that the artist made, which says, "I ended up doing them." And it's a drawing of two characters from Dan to Dan. Both these characters are canonically Japanese, but they drew these characters as black. And then the second photo is of their account, which is now protected, and it states that they are 16. So again, they're young, okay? So take that into account. And the reason why this is a big deal is due to a previous controversy or drama that happened with a similar situation, but reversed. So I've already covered it on my YouTube channel. I'll have a link down below if you do want to watch that full video. It's 18 minutes long, but I'll give you a TLDR because I love TLDRs. So there was this Japanese artist called B Cub who drew this piece, which is Marina from Splatoon. And then I couldn't find the original tweet, so I had to pull this photo from my YouTube video. There was a Twitter user by the name of Nutmeg Knight who made a post writing, "Why did you lighten her skin color? The eyedropper tool exists." And it is a photo of B Cub's drawing next to a 3D render of Marina, and it color drops their skin to showcase that B Cub's artwork was lighter. Now, B Cub, who is a Japanese artist again, got absolutely dragged in American Twitter with receiving an absolutely heinous amounts of death threats. That sparked an entire controversy between Japanese Twitter and American Twitter anime fans, where they were discussing the issues of blackwashing and whitewashing in anime and whether it should be allowed or not and the nuances of this, which is why this post probably went so viral, because this post is only maybe a month or so after that whole thing with B Cup. So here's what some people had to comment. We have Duran Hill writing, "The fact that it was never that serious too, like people were flipping out over a literal drawing that hurts no one." And Eyebrow the Way says, "Thanks to that person who double standardized the Splatoon character SMH. They ain't gonna stay silent no more." Rose Dark Black writes, "Anti-blackwashing warriors are the most pathetic people ever. They never care about whitewashing, but harass literal children out of pure sore rage because they saw a black person. Spiritually, mentally, and morally, they are human cattle to anti-woke anime YouTube masters." Xanthiel writes, "Yet when it's black people whitewash, it's okay." King Martin says, "This is exactly why I don't understand people when they say that there's a double standard with race swapping. When it's clear, you'll get jumped no matter what race you swap." Lonnie says, "Y'all did too much, mind you, it was just fan art." And this is a post made by Aku Yamigami with the original art piece that was redrawn. But this is kind of like the sentiment that some Twitter users had with Skip Beat writing, "All the blackwashers had to do was not attack Japanese artists for their fan art and none of this would be happening. Not being hypocrites was too much for them though." And the attached photo was again about the Marina drama from Splatoon with a Twitter user by the name of Kuro_Furukawa writing, "From the white man's point of view, Asian monkeys don't have the right to decide the color of their own paintings. This is political correctness. Hate political correctness." This was a quote retweet that also went viral from Twitter user Senpai, who writes, "LMAO, even Japanese people are calling out these culture vultures. Quote, black people have a culture of victimhood and stealing, so they don't feel any discomfort in insulting Japanese people," end quote. Sadly, it's not Japanese, but every other race possible. They'll still consume the media though. And then they added link to the original post. So the original post that they were replying to is this post on December 4th with 68,000 likes from Twitter user Kuji Live, which also went viral. And it reads, "There are still many racists who say that changing the race of a Japanese character is not discrimination. And as you can see from the quotes, they say it's a great drawing because the character is not Japanese. If you point this out, you'll be called a racist. Their IQ is too low to even understand what discrimination is." And they follow this up with writing, "Foreigners hate Japanese people, but they like manga and anime. So they are all racist who change the race of the Japanese characters they hate to make them better. Black people have a culture of victimhood and stealing, so they don't feel any discomfort in insulting Japanese people. They probably don't understand why more and more people are starting to hate black people in recent years." And that is a wild statement at the end. But some replies to Kuji's post reads, and here we have Player 7 writing, "A question from a foreigner. The opinion you showed is just yours or common between Japanese people? Because it is common to see changes of a white character to a black one in some movies from the US, but if it's with an anime character, how would the Japanese people react?" And Twitter user Kenshi Gorumu writes, "Not gonna lie, in earlier years, people don't really mind black cosplayers or black edits, but recently social media has become quite radical. There are people who'd harass others over whatever nitpick they considered as a racial issue. Hence why people hate each other more." Seven says, "Yeah, it's true. Racial topics became more and more sensitive on the internet, for people who have prejudice and for people who want to claim their rights. Nowadays, almost everything is radical. Nico writes, to be honest, if you just change the race of a character just for the aesthetic, it's okay, but telling you changed it to fix a character feels disrespectful to the mangaka who made the character. Dates Mine writes, I think it's fine for people to make fan art however they want, but don't get mad if somebody draws black character a lighter shade. Bloodberry says, when sharing cultures, it's important to realize there are boundaries. I totally agree that race swapping characters cross the line, but it's important to see that a lot of these artists are very young, naive, and a lot of them aren't even black artists. And that's also a reference to this original post, the one that sparked the whole Marina drama with the skin color call out, because the person calling out the skin tone is not black. This was their bio, and it reads, they put white in their bio. And this person made a meme about the B cup drawing, which reads, that's racist, stop whitewashing, and then some photos of some anime characters that were drawn black, and it reads, OMG, they're black now, hashtag fixed. And Xiao Cookie has this post that they made, which reads, if you think this is okay with a character who is pale and then changed to have darker skin, then they read, so is this, with a dark skinned character then changed to be light skinned. And going back to the post that Senpai made, in the reply they write, response from some other Japanese people. It's good that even Japanese people can notice the hypocrisy in some of these black people have. They have literally infested racism in this medium for absolutely no reason. In fandoms you see some of these, and I cannot read this word, I'm sorry, who post rage bait black, and that's what Senpai wrote. Some of the post reads, why do people complain about the color when you draw an illustration of a black person, but you make a white character black? After all, black mode has invaded my brain, so I don't mind doing things like this. Alone writes, the characters live in Japan, speak Japanese, are created by Japanese authors, and made by Japanese people. Recently, Japan has become aware of this issue. I don't think Japan and other Asians will let this slide. We are Asians, we have yellow skin, from Vietnam, love Japan. Senpai writes, as they should. People need to be more vocal like they are. If not, then they'll only keep doing it and pushing it further and further until we fully submit. Now's the time to raise voices against hypocrisy. Either every character be drawn however the artist wants to, or just no. And Senpai adds, here before they start playing the victim roles, allow me to remind you that they literally sent death threats to a Japanese artist for drawing a character a little light-skinned. Call out their hypocrisy. And that's in reference to this post that Fall Drift made about the Marina situation, which reads, popular Japanese artist forced to apologize because he drew Marina a few shades lighter. When will they stop? And here are some examples of the death threats that they've received. You know, Twitter user Bell writing some pretty heinous stuff. Other people literally just sending death threats. And Dark Plum writes, nobody would care if the Japanese artist hadn't been harassed and sent death threats for years for using a slightly wrong shade on some characters. It goes even so far that the creator of a character was being sent death threats for original art. They had enough. And Senpai says exactly this. If only the opposite end would get that memo. And that seems to be kind of the general sentiment with people on the internet about that art piece that was made, where some people have the sentiment, if you're going to allow changing a skin tone in one direction, you know, from lighter to darker, then the other way should be allowed as well. I do also want to acknowledge there's cultural nuances, right? Colorism is present around the world, but Black Americans have a much more nuanced history of colorism here than potentially in other places in the world. Can't speak for Japan because I've only lived in America and China. I'm not going to speak on the scenario because it is not my place to speak on it, but I'm curious about your thoughts and I would love to hear them respectfully in the comment section down below. And yeah, and again, don't send hate to anybody involved in the scenario as well, right? This is just kind of a discussion, so please be respectful. If you like this video, I appreciate it. If you liked and subscribed, I also have an Etsy shop. I feel like I never talk about it, where I sell like emotes, overlays, stuff like that. I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys there or in another one of my videos. Peace.